We have a very special guest joining us right now who is in charge of a publication that really has caught a lot of attention lately, Jackie.
You'll probably see this in Casey's gas stations, Hy-Vee grocery stores, and it always catches my eye.
I have never seen Andy Williams in Hy-Vee.
Never? Now you can. It's one of those things, we love talking about great things that are happening here in central Iowa and across the state, but it's also fun to learn some history about the state as well.
Yeah, our friend Michael Swanger is here from the Iowa History Journal. You can see it's a magazine available where Jackie just mentioned. Welcome to the show.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Lou, Jackie, Jason. It's a real pleasure. As I mentioned before, you're in my living room every morning, so it's nice to meet you in person. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and you didn't pick up behind the couch, by the way. We saw that.
I noticed it. Thank you.
I didn't appreciate the no contact order.
The no contact. We'll work on that.
But this is one heck of a publication, and you've been involved with this since its inception.
That's correct, yeah. Iowa History Journal is in its 7th year now. We publish 6 issues a year. I've been writing for it since its inception. I became its publisher 2 years ago. And it's been a dream, if you will, having made the quantum leap to publisher after working for Central Iowa newspapers and magazines for over 20 years. And one of those things that you dream about when you're a kid, scratching out stories on your Big Chief notebook in the kitchen and hoping someday that you can do this. And this is what it is. And it really has been a dream. It's a labor of love to publish it.
So what made you want to stick with this particular publication for as long as you have?
Well, you know, like you guys, I love Iowa. I love its people. I love its places. And I love its history. And even though I've done a varied amount of work over the years covering different things, history has always been something that's just stuck with me as a personal favorite. So I just believe in the product. I believe in what it's trying to do in terms of educating and entertaining Iowans about our great history, and there's a deep, deep history.
And here on the cover you see Andy Williams.
Do you ever run out of things to talk about, since you're talking about things that have been, like, does there ever come a point where it's like, what are we going to talk about now?
I get asked that question often too, and I tell everyone there's a lifetime's worth of stories. There really are, Jackie. It's amazing. Every day on this job I learn something new about Iowa that I didn't know, and that's one of the things I love about it.
Well, besides things that have happened in the past, as we see here, Andy Williams, John Wayne, of course, iconic figures of Iowa's history. If you open up the most recent edition, you're seeing history that was made when the YMCA was taken down, and that is a big part of our history as well. Something that recently happened.
That's right.
But it's part of history.
Thank you. I actually took that photo. I set up across the bank on the Des Moines River and got there early along with the crowd to shoot that. That was really fun, and it happened in a matter of seconds, as you know. I don't think we think about history in terms of our daily lives. It happens constantly. Even just this past weekend, for example, with the University of Iowa, with its football team, obviously making history, going 10-0. The 42,000 people at
the wrestling match, yeah.
Yeah, and in sports and all endeavors, it happens daily, and we tend to take those things for granted, and that's where we come in. That's our job, to remind people not only of what's happened, but we try to make it relevant today and to apply it to what's going on.
How many stories do you focus on in an issue?
There's over a dozen. Every issue we have a story about sports, entertainment.
There's Marble.
Yeah. We just did Don Doxey, the longtime sports editor of the Quad City Times, wrote a terrific retrospective of Roy. He's known him for years, covered him. That's Governor Larrabee. He's also featured in this issue and his battle against the railroads to curb some of the abuses that were taking place years ago. There's 2 Iowa boys.
Yes.
That's right, yeah.
Andy Williams and Johnny Carson. Yeah. So every issue has a variety that we think appeals to all Iowans. Like I said, sports, entertainment, politics, military. Speaking of which, that's a photo of the Iowa Gold Star Military Museum that's highlighted in our Exploring Iowa History segment this issue.
Fun photos, like you have a picture of Andy Williams, who's 11 years old, singing on WHA radio.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
That is Jason. City? Exactly. He was the first member of the Lewis and Clark expedition to die on that discovery along the Missouri. And there's our shot from the Y building.
If you're going to get appendicitis, get it on a historic journey. They'll build a monument for you.
It's a great way to do it. Absolutely. Highly recommended that way.
Thanks, Jason. Always pointing out the poignant moments in history.
That's right.
Is there anything that ever surprises you? I think we know a lot about our history, maybe not the specific details, but is there anything when you're researching or putting stories together, you're just like, wow, I never knew that that amazes me about our great state.
You know, I think the thing that surprises me is how much we take it for granted, quite frankly. And I think maybe it's that inherent inferiority complex that we have as Iowans.
Right.
We don't tend to think of ourselves as being that interesting or that important within the context of what's going on nationally, in many things, history included. So I love it when I get calls or letters from people who say, I didn't know that about Iowa or Iowa history. And that's the thing like I say, I learn something new every day, too.
Do you take recommendations for story ideas or articles?
We do. I'm lucky I have a lot of writers across the state who contribute. They're either current or retired journalists. We take story ideas all the time. I'm all eyes and ears, if you will. So, yeah, we welcome those.
Now, when it comes to getting your hands on a copy of one of these, Jack, you mentioned what Casey's and Hy-Vee they have, but obviously can you have a subscription to this as well?
Yes, you can. There's a couple ways you can do that, Lou. Thanks for asking. You can go online at our website, iowahistoryjournal.com, and subscribe. You can also buy our back issues there, which are becoming quite collectible. You can call us. You can also go to your local Casey's or Hy-Vee and pick up single copies. And then we only do 2 shows a year. One is the Iowa State Fair we have a booth at, and then the other is this weekend's Arts and Crafts Show back on the fairgrounds in the Varied Industries building. And we'll have a booth there. My wife, Rebecca, and I will be running the booth. We're mom and pop. We do it all. So, yeah.
What can we look forward to? If people are like, I'm interested in checking this out. Definitely always great to read about Andy Williams and everything things going on. But what can we look forward to in future?
That's a good question. I don't want to give the store away for next. No, if you're let me put it this way: if you're an Iowa Hawkeye football fan, you won't want to miss the next issue. We're profiling a big Hawkeye family, has a great legacy, and we're working on a really nice story on the history of Terrace Hill.
Okay.
And that's just
now. When will that one come out? This one here is the November-December issue with Andy Williams on it.
Correct. That'll be our January-February issue. Our subscribers typically get it about a week before it hits the newsstands, but we're diligent about being on the stands on the first of the month when it publishes.
Okay, so it is the first of the month. Okay, good.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just been a labor of love. Can I share 2 quick stories with you?
Oh, yeah.
Last Friday, this is one of the things I love about the job, is that I love learning new things and I love talking to Iowans. Last Friday, I got a call from a mother in Montezuma who says she buys the magazine regularly at Casey's. She reads it and then she mails it to her son who's serving in Afghanistan.
Oh, that's nice.
And there's a unit of about 120 Iowans serving over there, and apparently they all read it. And that makes me feel good, knowing that it's you never know when it's your baby. You put it out there, you don't know where it's going to land.
Right.
The other thing is I got a call from the Winterset Junior High, and they wanted copies of the magazine. We did a cover story on Norman Borlaug last year, and they're taking a field trip to the World Food Prize headquarters this month, and they didn't have any materials available in their classroom. And we find more and more teachers subscribing to the magazine because they use it in their classes.
I'm sure they do, yeah. Well, they should.
Because we just don't do a good enough job of teaching history in Iowa. And if you ask any teacher, they'll tell you that too. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do is educate children about Iowa. So
wonderful.
You're educating everybody about the state of Iowa.
Myself included.
Iowa History Journal is the name of the publication. You can go to Casey's or Hy-Vee and pick them up. Or this weekend, though, tell everybody where you're going to be again this weekend.
At the Arts and Crafts Show in the Varied Industries building at the Iowa State Fairgrounds.
You can jump online to get.
You're just going for the
subscription.
cookies.
Oh, you know that. Does it
There's
look like
no
I
story
missed many?
There's no story idea for you.
The cookies don't last long at our house. So.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming over.
Lou,
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Jackie, Jason, thank you.